Good morning, everybody. Welcome. So welcome to the online audience and all you guys here. My name is Peter Kriva. I'm the CEO and president of the Aquarium. But the real reason I'm here is because for 40 years I've been a research biologist, and this is my passion. I want to thank the teachers for helping to get the students here. I want to thank the Long Beach Unified School District for helping to facilitate it. But most of all, I want to thank you students, you kids are here. You know, I had two teenagers. I never in my life got my son to wake up before 10:30. And I tried so hard. The only thing he woke up for was sports. But just know that science is a good weapon, because what he used to tell me when I tried to wake him up, he goes, "Dad, my prefrontal cortex is still developing. Don't you realize that takes 25% of my body energy and you're stunting my development?" And so it really helped him. But with that, this morning is part of a much bigger program called STEM Pathways, and both for this morning and really the brilliance, the passion, the creativity behind this program and STEM Pathways is Allie LeBeau and some of the students you're going to be hearing from. Allie, take it away.
All right, I am so excited. Thank you. You guys know how to get me to my heart. I want to echo Peter's welcome. Huge shout out to the teachers and to the students who made this work. We're so grateful to have you here. You might notice I pushed you all right into the middle, and that was intentional. I wanted to make sure that you knew that you are VIPs today. We put this presentation together for a lot of different audiences, but your presence is a huge piece of today. So thank you to all you students who started your Thanksgiving break off by coming to the aquarium, so we have opportunities for you to enjoy the day. Shout out to my scholars. I am so excited to see you all together, and I'm excited to see you just talk, not even with me. I just want there to be so many conversations. I want to give a huge thank you. This program would not be possible without the support of our donors. So thank you to everyone who believes in the work that we're doing and those who are supporting and know the value of the program that we're moving forward. So thank you to our major program supporters listed here. Our first session this morning is our lightning talks. What in the world is a lightning talk? Well, our scholars, members of our 2023 cohort, were challenged to tell their story, tell their science, tell their aspirations in just 5 minutes. And you might think, oh, sweet, 5 minutes, that's really fast. Well, exactly, that's really fast. So it is a challenge to tell your story in just 5 minutes. We have two of our 2023 scholars who unfortunately were not able to join us today. So they will be sharing through a video. We will have two videos so that they are here in spirit. And I just want to shout out to Khalil Russell and Gregory Smith. I hope you are watching online. You are here with us in spirit, and you are missed. So to begin, we are going to have lightning talk from Khalil Russell and Gregory Smith.
What can the body shapes of fish tell us about invasive species? To answer that question, let me first show you just how diverse fish body shapes are. Let's start with cichlids, my favorite group of fish, and a generally good place to start when it comes to understanding the body shape of fish. Cichlids, in general, look like fish, but for every single fish I could show you, I could probably show you another fish that looks absolutely nothing like it.
An interesting problem we then run into is how to quantify that diversity, how to capture it and compare it in meaningful statistical ways, right? It may seem like comparing apples to oranges, but I promise you there's a method to the madness. And that method is called geometric morphometry.
Let's think of the stars. Points in a backdrop of black and blue.
You can take a set of these points and form a shape. We call this a constellation, and in this case, it's the Taurus constellation, the shape of a bull. From this vague set of points, we can form the shape of a living animal. Geometric morphometry is a method that follows the same principles but backwards. You start with the shape of an animal, in this case, a fish. Place points, or landmarks, in strategic, consistent locations around the body of this fish to capture the essence of its body shape, like making a constellation from the shape of an animal. This method allows us to systematically compare the body shapes of animals to say officially that one animal is more or less similar to another in body shape, and this method is at the heart of what I do. But where do we go from here? Well, when I fell in love with fish at the ripe old age of 10, I fell in love for life. However, for a lot of people, fish are just a fling, a fleeting affection, and at the end of their entertainment value, many fish end up released into the wild, where they become introduced species. There, they compete with native species for resources like habitat and food, and that's where body shape comes into play. What do I mean? Basically, wings help birds fly, and long legs help cheetahs run really fast. The shape of an animal's body affects what it can and cannot do, and in theory, the more similar two fish are in body shape, the more similar they are in what they do, and the more likely they are to compete with one another. Understanding this competition allows us to better predict which introduced species might have less competition or fewer competitors. These species might have an easier time surviving and multiplying, and therefore may demand extra attention to keep their numbers under control. Now, I have a lot of work left to do to prove that this method truly allows us to predict those two things, but if it does, we'll have a relatively cheap and easy way to better understand and protect our native species, many of whom support important commercial and sport fisheries, as well as the larger ecosystems which bring so many people so much joy and peace. So, in conclusion, I hope you've taken from this film a new appreciation for the diversity of fish body shapes, how we study them as scientists, and what this study can teach us about the natural world. Furthermore, as each of you are potential fish keepers, I hope you put me out of a job by never releasing your fish in the wild, instead appreciating them as I do from an armchair in your living room. Thanks for watching, tank on, and take care, guys.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gregory Smith. I am a recipient of the Aquarium of the Pacific African American Scholarship, and I am a recent grad from San Jose State University. I was in Scott Schaefer's Avian Physiology Lab, and I want to tell you all a little bit about myself. So I grew up in Queens, New York, and as a kid, my attention always wandered up towards the sky, towards the birds. And in my neighborhood, I remember early memories of red-tailed hawks nesting on a fire escape, and they raised chicks from this fire escape. And I assumed that they made their living off an abundance of rats and rock doves in the area. But this moment in time was a really important time for me. It made nature make sense to me and gave me an outlet to explore my curiosities. In middle school, I ended up going to zoo camp at the Bronx Zoo and science fairs and all that other stuff. And when I was in high school, one of my mentors, a really great biology teacher, had a connection at the Bronx Zoo. This is me at 14, pictured here. And I got an internship there. And at the Bronx Zoo, my mentors there encouraged me to do my own research, a 14-year-old doing their own research on Chilean flamingos and their breeding behavior. This internship changed my life. Fast forward there to undergrad, I ended up in Maine at a small liberal arts school, and this school had a research island where they conducted research on seabirds. And this is my first introduction to the marine environment, and I absolutely loved it. I loved being out in the field for 3 to 4 months of the summer, hanging out on this island covered by seabirds, getting used to scraping your knees and getting pooped on and attacked by seabirds generally. After college, I got my first gig out of college, and that was at for Point Blue Conservation on the Southeast Farallon Islands off the coast of San Francisco. This is my first time doing like intensive research, and my first introduction to long-term monitoring projects that really can give management a really good idea what's going on with seabird populations. On the island, I got introduced to a one of the oldest birds in the study, grandma, and this bird would make its way back into my life 10 years later. I bopped around a bunch, made it down to the Everglades. Here's me fearfully driving an airboat. I did the whole field technician thing for a little bit, and then ended up in Oregon, where I worked for Oregon State University for 5 years, and then ended up working for Portland Audubon, soon to be renamed, as a research as a outreach programmer. So I ended up doing work creating community around birds in the outdoors, specifically looking at groups that Portland Audubon had historically forgotten about. And that's something that I'm still very passionate about. I still had the research bug and ended up contacting Dr. Scott Schaefer about grad school, and I ended up back at Farallon Islands working on a data set that I had already helped provide data for 10 years ago. And I ended up working on Cassin's auklets, and one of the birds featured in this data set was Grandma, the bird that I had encountered 10 years ago. My research focuses on natural history theory, so looking at trade-offs between reproductive effort and reproductive output over a bird's life. It's a really cool study, and you can only ask these questions when you have long-term monitoring projects like the one at Point Blue. In the future, I would love to continue to do research, but also I want to give younger research scientists the same opportunity I did. A lot of mentors left the door open for me, and I am forever grateful for that opportunity that they gave me. This is all I want to do, and this is the information I want to share with the rest of the world. I also want to thank my mom and dad for always encouraging me to turn over every rock I saw and allowing me to explore my curiosities. That's an amazing gift to give to a child, and I hope we can all hold that and offer the same opportunity to others like us. I want to thank Ali LeBeau at the Aquarium of the Pacific for fostering community for the past 3 to 4 months. It's been an amazing scholarship to be a part of, and I wish I could hear the rest of these amazing marine scientists talk for the rest of the day. But have a good one. Nice talking to you. Bye.
All right, thank you again. Thank you again to Khalil and Gregory for participating virtually. They have so much happening. Khalil is working on his PhD, and we're just so grateful that he was able to participate virtually. But now we have 7 of our scholars who will be presenting in person. So here's how this is going to work. We will hear from Anthony McGinnis, Jada Alexander, Janice Grisby, Danielle McCaskill, Kimberly Randolph, Bryce Barbie, and Janita Dermorinville. Unfortunately, Jake Roth is ill. He is in San Luis Obispo. So shout out to Jake, who is hopefully watching online. We miss you, Jake. We wish you were here with us, but we appreciate you keeping your germs to yourself. Here's how this is going to work. Each scholar is going to come up one at a time and present. We can clap as they head back to their seat and clap as the next person comes up. After all of our scholars speak, they will come up to the table and we will have an opportunity for Q&A. So hold your questions till the end. Are you guys ready? This is going to be great. I'm so excited. All right, Anthony, get us started.
I was completely unaware that I was going first. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for spending your free, lovely weekend here at the Aquarium of the Pacific to hear all of us scholars talk about our future endeavors. So for starters, I'm Anthony McGinnis Jr. I'm a fourth-year undergrad at Cal State University of Long Beach. I'm a part of the Shark Lab, and I'm also a part of the Stab Lab, which is the Stingray and Butterfly Biomechanics Lab at Cal State University Long Beach. So, some fun facts about me. So I've done some, research as an assistant researcher for the Jaguar project that's overseen by Marcella Kelly at Virginia Tech University in Belize. So I've done that 2 summers ago for a whole summer. Some hobbies of mine: like to work out, walk my dog, walk on trails, beaches, scuba dive, and get lit. You can tell by the emojis what that means. So also a little bit more, as an undergraduate researcher, part of the Shark Lab and the Stab Lab. So I pretty much, for my personal research, I work on local round stingrays. So you've probably seen at Seal Beach or Belmont Shore, a lot of people get stung by stingrays all the time. So pretty much what I'm doing is I'm looking at the physiological properties of how stingrays sting people and how we can prevent people from getting stung. And then another thing, for a graduate study, I plan on looking for physiological behavior and anthropogenic factors. So if you don't know what that means factors that are influenced by humans, influencing predator-prey interactions, and sharks, specifically great white sharks, Alopius vulpinus, which is common pelagic thresher sharks, and then Siphna macarin, so that is scalloped hammerhead sharks. I don't know what's going on here. All right, so a little bit. I apologize for that. All right, so personal stuff about me. So I was born and raised in South Central California, Inglewood area. I graduated from Dorsey High School, and I played sports, as you can see, football, track, got scholarships for those. All right, so a little bit more about myself in the Shark Lab. So I'm an undergraduate research assistant. I'm part of the Shark Lab, so I help graduate students and also undergraduate students with their shark research. So pretty much what we do in the Shark Lab is we're looking at the geographical movement and physiological functions of juvenile white sharks in the Southern California region. So going all the way from Santa Barbara to Baja California. And pretty much what we do is we tag sharks, and then this past summer, we pretty much, we went to Costa Rica, as you can see in the left side of the photo. We were using AUV, so autonomous underwater vehicles, for sonaring, and we were using drones, aerial drones, to track sharks and their movements. And then again, part of the Stab Lab, so this is one of the undergraduate studies that we worked on. We did a whole presentation talk on it. So it's called Urobatus halleri. That's the scientific name of the round stingrays. Strikes back 3D tail kinematics of the round stingray. I'm not sure. So this is, I'm sorry, again. So this is supposed to be a video. I'm not sure if the video is gonna play. Let's see. Oh, I guess not. All right, I gave it a try. It's a cool video. Oh, it was going? Oh, if it's going. Let's see. Okay, yeah, there it is. So pretty much what we're using is we're using high-speed cameras to look at. So if you look on the bottom left, that's the tail of the stingray. And we're looking at the barb. So we're using 3D. Yes. So pretty much what we're doing with this research is we're tracking to see how much velocity, force, and that they put into a foot of a human. So that's a fake foot, by the way. We got that from Party City. It's not a real foot. So pretty much what we're doing is we're working with engineers to come up with a stingray-proof booty. So booties meaning like surf booties, shoes that you go to the beach, and if you were to get stung by a stingray, you won't get punctured. And then a little bit more details about the Jaguar project. So part of the Jaguar project, we were in Sylvester Village, Gallon Jug in Belize, Amazon rainforest, and we were using camera traps to track jaguars, pumas, ocelots, all of the fun big cats. And here's some more other pictures, and then we also got a cute little video of the jaguar. We call him Hefe. Let's see if it plays. Oh, there it is. Yes, so don't get mad. Yes, I want to work in the marine field, but I do have some terrestrial work as well. All right, and then some of my future plans. So like I said, I'm a fourth-year undergraduate student. I will be finishing this semester. So some plans for me is I'm kind of juggling in between master's or PhD programs. But some programs that I'm looking at is UC San Diego Scripps. Shout out to Danielle. UCR, which is the University of Costa Rica, which is where I've done my undergraduate research this past summer. The University of Hawaii. And the PEC Lab, which is the Predator Ecology and Conservation Lab at Florida International University to study thresher sharks. And I believe, and then I'd like to give a huge thanks to, most importantly, the Aquarium of the Pacific for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this 2023 cohort. The Stab Lab, Dr. Benjamin Perlman, who's helped me build my resume, and Dr. Christopher Lowe, who oversees everything in the Shark Lab and given me a whole bunch of opportunities to work with sharks. And that is it.
Hi everybody, my name is Jada Alexander and I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about my non-linear pathway to marine science. So I thought that I could tell my whole life story in this 5 minutes and realized after turning my slides that I cannot, so I'm going to skip through a few. Okay. Okay, so I am going to start at high school. So at 16, I was graduating high school, and I was faced with the question of what to do with my life. And I really thought, I have to figure everything out right now. I have to go to college and do exactly what I want to do. And I was really scared about picking something that I might hate in the future. So I really put a lot of emphasis on spending a lot of time thinking about what I had always loved my entire life, and that was nature. I've always liked spending time in nature, doing new things, but also it has really been a place that has helped my mental health over time, and it's helped me continue to be healthy. And so I was really interested in how humans have impacted the natural world. As Anthony was saying, anthropogenic stressors are really interesting to me. So I was going to college in order to figure out a little bit more about how we can help recover from these stressors. So I decided to go to UC Santa Barbara as an environmental studies major, and I'm currently a fourth year at this university. So COVID hit. I was working at the Habit Burger Grill and doing college, and I spent a lot of time outside. I did as many outdoor things as I could. And before, as you may have seen in the other slides, I started snowboarding when I was in high school. I tried to start surfing when I was in high school. And when I got to college, I really went hard doing all of these things, and I became really good at them. And I even tried new sports like rock climbing. So eventually, I became an outdoor leader in these sports. I started to lead yoga retreats and paddleboard excursions and camping trips at my school. And that led me to meet people that introduced me to the Sprout Up organization, where I ended up teaching environmental education to elementary school students for an entire year, which was pretty amazing. That led me to meeting somebody that introduced me to the Sea League, which is an organization based in Santa Barbara that is increasing the diversity in ocean sports and as well as environmental sciences. So I was a surf coach for them, and then I met somebody there that introduced me to the Diversity Project. And I applied to the Diversity Project, which ended up shifting my entire trajectory, but none of that would have happened if I didn't start there. So then I applied to the Diversity Project, I was accepted, and I was basically about to be shipped off to Moorea, French Polynesia. And I did not know I was going to be doing all of these cool things. I was kind of just like, oh, this is a cool experience. Let's see what happens. And I was really shocked and surprised, but also pleased. I met a lot of wonderful people that have helped me to get to where I am today. But I also had a lot of fun and tried a lot of new things in this experience. Yes, so then I did, as I said earlier, I'm really interested in anthropogenic stressors. So in Morea, I did a research project that is helping to determine if trait-based ecology can be used to quantify anthropogenic stressors on macroalgal dominated reefs. So a normal coral reef, you would expect there's a lot of coral cover. This reef right here is completely covered in algae, and that's not good. And basically, human stressors such as like nutrient runoff from urban development, all can contribute to shifting from coral to this kind of algal state, which is not as pretty. Then I met people there that connected me with the Ocean Explorer. So OceanX is the most advanced exploration, research, and media vessel ever built. And I had the opportunity to join them on one of their excursions for 2 weeks. So I was living on the ship, and I met their crew. They got to let me play with a lot of their toys, which was amazing. I ended up using one of their ROVs, operating it thousands of feet down. I connected with people that were doing media. I even got to create my own short documentary with the team, which was absolutely amazing. So then that really helped me to get a broader perspective of what marine science had for me in store. And then I was back in Morea another summer with my team at UCSB. And this time I was working on coral rather than algae. And so basically this entire talk, I just really want to emphasize that my path was not linear at all. I had no clue that I was going to be so passionate about marine science. In fact, I really disliked science when I was in high school. And I really thought that marine science was that science in general was supposed to be one thing, and it turns out it's actually a lot of different things. There's a lot of different fields that you can go into. And I'm really grateful for all of the experiences that I've gotten in this field, and I really want to encourage people to just try things that they love and see what happens. Yeah, so these are so I visited 5 countries, 48,000-ish miles flown, and 4 research projects thus far. And I'm planning to do a PhD. So right now I'm applying to PhD programs, and I'm also interested in Scripps University. It's pretty good. And I just want to say thank you to all of the people that have helped me to get here. These people are so, so amazing, and I am so, so grateful. This does not show everybody, but a lot of the people that have played a key role in me getting here. And I also want to thank the Aquarium of the Pacific. And if you're interested in emailing me or connecting with me, I would love to chat with you, but also I have my LinkedIn and my email right there. Okay, thank you.
Oh my God. Ooh, I cannot see anyone. All right, can you guys hear me okay? Perfect. Good morning. Hi, my name is Janice, and hello. Oh God, Allie. I'm gonna present about myself in a moment. Yes, sir. Anyways, hope everyone's having a good morning. My friends and family are watching this live stream right now, so hi. Oh my God. Should I click anything? I like looking back to see. While we wait for the presentation, what is everyone's favorite marine animal? Whales. Does anyone like sharks? Ooh, can I get some noise for sharks really quick? Yes! Sharks all the way. Does anyone like nudibranchs? Can I get some noise for some seaweed? Woo! coralline algae. Period. Oh, it's reconnecting.
We had just a small technical issue. Apologize for the delay. Isn't Janice a great facilitator? To be asking questions to the audience, just jumping in like that? Shout out to seaweed.
Shout out seaweed. I'm trying to think of what other animals to shout out.
Nudibranchs are good. Sea hair.
Ooh, does anyone scuba dive? Do we have scuba divers? Oh, I see some scuba divers. Do we have surfers? Woo!
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, we're good.
Oh, it should be up there soon. Who doesn't scuba dive but might want to one day? Oh,
I
okay.
see some hands.
All right. We have a friend in the audience who might want to talk to you about that.
Ooh.
Our friend Max might want to talk to you about
Where's
all
Max?
those hands up. All right, we now return to our regularly scheduled program.
Okay, good. So I hit the.
It'll come up, but this is a good sign.
This is a good. Oh, I'll go back.
There we go. Yeah.
No. Hello? Maybe. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's gone. Oh, they're still doing it. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Woo! Perfect. All right, so sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Janice Grisby, and I'm just going to be presenting a little bit about me, my journey through marine science, and just like what I'm up to right now. And so thank you all for being here. Starting off, a little bit about me. I am from Fairfield, California, which is basically if you drive from Sac to San Francisco, I'm like right in the middle. I just recently received my bachelor's in science at UC Davis in marine and coastal science. Go Ags. Sharks are very much my favorite animal, and I just recently became a PADI dive master, which is a very entry-level professional recreational scuba diver. And then a little bit more, I love cats, horror movies, cooking, and baking. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Just going right into my journey, I split it into two parts just because I recently graduated from university. And so basically, I started off at junior community college, which is basically just a 2-year institution where you can take college classes, get some college credits, you can get your associate's degree, and it's also a stepping stone to kind of get into a 4-year university to finish your bachelor's. And so I started off there. I think I was in person for like a semester, and then COVID happened. And then I was online for the rest of the next 2 years. And so during this time, I was just kind of figuring out my goals. I knew that I really liked science. I wanted to be like a science teacher, a scientific artist. At one point, I wanted to be a mortician. That was a little different. And then one class I took at the very end of my time at community college changed everything. He really loved marine science stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I don't want to be a mortician. I want to be in the ocean. And so after that, after I took that class, I ended up transferring to UC Davis. And then for the last 2 years, I've been there and immediately changed my major, did not look back to mortuary sciences. And then I believe my first quarter out there, I got my scuba certification, immediately just got in the water. I've worked a lot of jobs. I believe in these 4 years combined, I worked a total of 10 jobs. Very, very busy girl, very busy. And then working all those jobs, doing all the school I was doing, I was able to do a few research projects. I have 3 publications on the way. But I can confirm that I love marine science, and I'm very much happy to be doing what I'm doing. And then, so really quick, what am I doing right now? Along with this scholarship, I am also the 2023 North American Our World Underwater Scholar. And that basically means from June to June 2024, I'll be on this scholarship gaining experiences focused on developing my skills as a diver and a scientist, working with coastal communities, and focusing on shark conservation. Surprise, surprise. And so these are just a bunch of slides with pictures for what I've been doing. And so first, I like this laser thing. First, I started off in like Miami, Florida, where I was part of the Diversifying Ocean Sciences cohort with MISS, Minorities in Shark Sciences. I was able to be on a boat for a week tagging sharks. I look really cool in this picture. And then, so that was really fun. And after that, I jumped right in and I flew all the way. Here I'm in the Philippines. I was in Dumaguete doing photography, working on just underwater camera stuff, just working on photography. And while I was here, I also saw whale sharks for the first time. And they are gigantic. And it was really cool. And then as soon as I left to the Philippines, or as soon as I finished in the Philippines, I jumped right into Raja Ampat, Indonesia, which is a really cool spot to be at, very gorgeous volcanic islands. And as you can see, gorgeous megafauna. I spent some time out there working with a women's group and just getting in some cool dives. And then I came home because I was really sick, unfortunately. And then after that, I jumped into these two. I'm at UC Davis's Bodega Marine Lab, finishing my AAUS scientific diver course because I can dive recreationally, but also you need a separate certification to dive scientifically and do work in that field. And so I got some cool dives in. It was very nice. And then just recently, I came back a week ago. I was in Mexico for a month doing more work with whale sharks because I really like sharks. I got in some cool dives and now I'm here. And so I'm still continuing on through my scholarship year. And so what is next? Surprise! More shark stuff. I'm going to be going in the Bahamas working with a lovely woman named Christina Zanato, and I'll be that person, hanging out with sharks. I'm very interested in human and shark interactions, and so that's my huge focus for my scholarship year, and so I'm very, very excited. And then just for my plans for the future, I have like 4 things. Obviously, I need to finish my scholarship year. I'm going to do another little gap year before I apply to, I'm also on the flip, like master's, PhD right now, but I'm going to apply to grad school. And then I'm just continuing to look at different ways to stay involved in marine science. I love working with people. I love working with animals. I love doing science. I love doing social stuff. And so I really just want to stay involved in any way that I can. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate everyone being here this morning. And then this is just my QR code to a bunch of my different social media. And please contact me. I'd love to answer any questions or just talk about more about my journey in marine science. And so, thank you.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to give a little bit, like a Sparks Note version about my life as well. I call it Sunset Dreams because they're just about my dreams and aspirations going forward. And Seaweed Sista is my Instagram handle and something that me and my fellow seaweed geeks like to call ourselves. And so I want to give a little bit about just my ocean story, my journey to becoming a marine ecologist. And that, of course, has to start in the water. And this is where my ocean story started. And so I grew up in this apartment complex. This is the community pool that I spent a lot of my childhood in. My dad was known as like the pool guy. And so he'd round up like all the kids in the apartment complex, my brother, my sister, and I. And we'd spend all day in the pool. He taught me how to swim at a very young age. We'd get there at like 11 a.m., noon, and we'd be there all day playing. And as it got cooler, kids would start like kind of moving towards the jacuzzi. But at 9 p.m., I was still in the water by myself, floating at the top. And my dad's like, "You're going to catch a cold. Come in." I was like, "No, Dad, I'm enjoying the water. Leave me alone. I'm in my happiest place." And I remember just experiencing this very deep sense of peace, like looking up at the sky, at the stars, and just feeling kind of cradled by the water. And so I really appreciated having the opportunity to connect with the ocean or the water, and then also with nature. This is a time I went out with some of my family to go on a hike. We didn't get the opportunity to go out and experience nature very often, but when we did, I really appreciated and valued those experiences. And so as a kid, I was I was a middle child, so kind of ignored a little bit. My little sister got all the attention, but I was also the nerdy one, the geeky one, and then also the diva. Like, I had to have all my outfits matched. I had to like have my cute little pink dress, but I also wanted to be in the dirt looking at ants and then watching my dog, and I always tried to pee in the bushes. My dad didn't know why. I really loved to just be outside. And so as you know, I got older. I'm the first generation college student, which means I'm the first person in my family to go to college. My family's okay. We have this like little weird diva kid. She loves nature. She likes to care for animals. She's very curious and really likes to be in the water. So what do we think she should do when she grows up? Well, we all thought, hey, she should become a veterinarian. We had no idea that science was an option, that ecology was out there. And so I moved forward in community college on a track to go to veterinarian school, either become a veterinarian or vet tech. And then my family and I learned how much it costs. It's like $200,000 or more. And you can't work during vet school because you're obviously in vet school. I was terrified of the debt, and my family and I didn't have the resources to move forward with that. And so I kind of wandered aimlessly for a while and felt sad I didn't know what my next step should be. But then I learned, I met the sea hare, and yes, I love sea hares, this gorgeous animal. It's kind of like, imagine you have a very fat house cat, but like no legs and no hair and no eyes, and they're covered in mucus. That's pretty much a sea hare. I went on this tide pool trip for my first like real ecology or science class at Mount San Antonio College, which is a community college that's somewhat near here. And this class called Bio 2. Shout out to Mark Cooper. Too easy. I promised him when I got famous I would shout him out. And so I met this beautiful organism, and I said, hey, I wanted to work with this thing. And so after I moved from community college to Cal Poly Pomona, I did my undergrad research on it, and as you can see here, just kind of like slimily moving, very squishy animals. And I asked, what is the feeding rate of this black sea hare when consuming different species of brown algae? And because this animal is so big, they can grow up to be like 14 kilograms, I think it's like 30 pounds-ish in just 1 year. And I only worked with maybe 10-pound individuals, that's their maximum. But because they eat so much, they might have a very large impact on the population of seaweed, what that community is looking like, how much seaweed are available. And so I did my undergrad and master's on it, and let's see if the video will play. Okay, perfect. Looking at this animal, so I would say, okay, do they like something like smaller and harder, like a rockweed, or do they like to eat other organisms that are very large and growing, kind of like a large kelp that we see here? And so I'd weigh the seaweed, see how much they ate, and I also would weigh the sea hare. And as you can see, this is a chunky individual. Yeah, measure them just to see what their mass looks like and how they changed over time. Yes, and you can see my face. I'm like way too excited to measure the sea hare. And so moving forward, my love of invertebrates did not stop. I love seaweed too, but inverts did have the first place in my heart. And so I went to New Jersey to study the horseshoe crab, much to my family's dismay. It was my first time being far from home, and they really wanted me to stay in California, but I loved this invertebrate. And so the horseshoe crab, as you can see, is this adult form that we have here. However, I was studying the baby horseshoe crabs, and so that was in the middle right here too. So you can see this like kind of green, they have these like white Mickey Mouse like looking eyes here. I was looking to see from their larval stage to their first juvenile stage, what types of sand they preferred to live in and to kind of grow in. And that could be important because if you think about for conservation purposes, for the different beaches across New Jersey can have different types of sand, we'll say like some of them might have a finer sand distribution where some might have a more coarse sand distribution. So just figuring out which areas these horseshoe crabs preferred to live in. And so now I am in the starting the fifth year of my PhD, and have fully dedicated myself to seaweed. And I'm looking at what are called non-native species. And so these are species of seaweed that start in one location and then move to another location, usually due to human involvement interaction. And this could be a problem because non-native species can outcompete or push out native seaweed species, which isn't great for the environment. Additionally, non-native species can cost billions of dollars annually. Non-native seaweeds, these are the two I study in particular, can also be a problem, and that's why I study them for my PhD. And so my question is, what is the abundance of non-native seaweeds in California? And then also, are there native seaweeds that might compete or facilitate or make easy for non-native seaweeds to grow? And so in this, I'm also a scientific diver. I did not grow up diving, didn't really grow up in the ocean. I just really learned how to dive maybe 4 years ago, and got very into it. And so I do some diving here in Mission Bay. I do a lot of diving in San Diego. This is here in La Jolla area. And so, of course, there are beautiful places across the world to go diving, but I also want to make sure I highlight some of our gorgeous places to go diving here locally in California. And with this diving, there's other, of course, things I've learned to do. And so I've learned how to become a leader. And so I lead a team of my cohort, a team of my peers, teaching them kind of what my methods are and how to conduct scientific research. So here I'm teaching them about the different seaweed species. And additionally, not the most flattering picture of me, but I learned how to drive a boat recently, which has been something. If you asked me in high school, do you think you'll ever drive a boat one day? I would have been like, no, definitely not. So it's been a really amazing opportunity to be able to do that. And my friends on the boat will call me captain. I don't have a captain's license yet, but it's been very cute. Yes. And so for my future, my next steps, I really want to support the communities that I come from, which are generally under-resourced and marginalized communities. And we want to really reestablish these cultural ties to the ocean that we've had historically, but have lost due to displacement. And I'm really excited to use the skills that I'm learning now to be able to teach marine ecology, teach research techniques, and also collaborate with communities in co-producing science and knowledge together. And before I... Thank you for your time, everybody.
Hello, my name is Kimberly, and today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and the research I'm currently doing. So I am from Modesto, California, which is located in the Central Valley. It's very big on farming and agriculture, and I used to think it was the most boring place ever until I moved to Southern California. And now when I get to go home, it's like I get to escape to my country girl roots. That's actually a picture of me in high school. I used to be in charge of putting the chickens away after school so they wouldn't get eaten. Growing up, I had so many different hobbies. I loved playing soccer. I did dance, orchestra, golfing. I was even an equestrian for a little while. But one thing was always consistent in my life, and it was my love for video games and science. So I loved my science classes in school. I loved doing science projects, especially with my dad. That was kind of our thing. And I just knew that science was going to be a part of my life forever. So after high school, I went straight to Cal State Dominguez Hills. I was initially there pre-med, majoring in cellular and molecular biology. But after I took my first chemistry class, I realized I did not want to be a doctor. It's really hard. And then COVID hit, so I went back home. And that was only after a semester being there. So I felt a little lost, but I began taking my ecology courses, and I realized this is what I want to do. So I changed my concentration to ecology and environmental biology. And then once I came back to campus, I had the opportunity to join a research lab. So I joined the CRAM lab, which is an E. coli evolution lab. It is not the E. coli you're probably thinking about. This E. coli, my PI likes to joke that you could drink it and you would not get sick, but I will not be trying that. No. So why should we study bacterial evolution? So bacteria have rapid reproduction and short generation times. E. coli actually doubles every 20 minutes, making it a great organism to study genetic variability because of processes like mutation, recombination, and horizontal gene transfer. We can also study evolutionary conservation with bacteria because a lot of these mechanisms are applicable for more complex organisms. And we can observe evolution in real time because of the short generation times. So there are 5 phases of the bacterial life cycle. And in my lab, we study the least popular phase, which is long-term stationary phase. What is GASP? GASP stands for growth advantage in stationary phase. And this phenomenon refers to the ability of mutant bacteria to outcompete wild-type bacteria during stationary phase when they're being grown together. And this is because the mutant bacteria go through different changes and exhibit better fitness and adaptability during stationary phase compared to the wild type. So this is kind of what my research looks like on a daily basis. I don't do any field work. We're mostly doing bench work. But first, we have to find a mutant strain of the bacteria, and that is kind of a long process, and I skipped through it, but this is when I found mutant strains of the circled genes, and then after that, we'll store them in our minus 80-degree freezer. And when we're ready to compete the bacteria together, we'll grow them in these test tubes. We'll put 15 microliters of the wild type and our mutant strain and compete them for 10 days at a time. And to do this, we plate them on a chloramphenicol plate and a kanamycin plate because they're able to grow separately, and we're able to count each individual colony using titration and serial dilutions. So this is what a completed competition looks like, and we are trying to figure out if the mutant strain gasps or not. And in this case, with the strain YHFK, it did not gasp, and we know that because the black line, which is the wild type, and the pink and red line are the mutant strain. They grow pretty consistently with the wild type, or they die out way before. So we have a list of about 1,000 strains, and we usually do 3 at a time, and we'll just continue going down the list and waiting to find one that gasps. So I just want to thank you all for listening, and I also want to thank my mom and dad and my brother for the continued support, because I don't think I would have the motivation to keep going if it weren't for them. And I also want to thank the Aquarium of the Pacific for allowing me to be here today.
All right, what's up, you guys? Yeah, let's see if we can get these popping up. Do you have to do anything for it? All right, cool, perfect. All right, it's great to see you guys. My name is Bryce Barbie, and so I'm a second-year PhD student right now, which feels crazy to say because the first year just flew by. I don't know where that went, but yeah, so I'm a second-year PhD student in the Ecology, Evolution, and Marine Bio department at UCSB. And so the main thing I study is animal behavior, and right now I'm doing it in like a marine bio lab. Basically just because the main thing I work with are cleaner shrimp, and so they're in the ocean. All right, so to start off, got to start off with the family. So this is my mom. She's from LA, and she works with the Honda race team. And then my dad, he's from Compton. He's a 5th grade teacher. And to where I like saying both of those because like from those descriptions, you can tell they didn't have any science backgrounds really, but they were always really big about just whatever me and my sister wanted to do. They were just like, hey, you guys just, whatever you like to do, just do it. And my mom used to always just be like, just be the best at it, which I felt like became just really strong and like my goal of I'm going to keep on going and doing like the PhD research. And to where, and now my sister, she went off and did her own thing. She used to like to write and draw a lot. And so she's now like a script writer for cartoons. And so, yeah. I like this picture. This is a picture that my grandparents took in their backyard, and this is where I felt like my science journey started. And so I used to be always like the kid where I used to just throw on my hat, go in the backyard, and I was just looking at all types of bugs I could find, just messing with ants. I was killing a lot of flies. I used to, like, my grandma used to just give me butterfly nets, so I would kill just flies and just feed them to ants, feed them to spiders. And, like, at the time, I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but, like, I was basically just, like, running behavior experiments because, like, I used to just find different types of spiders and just, like, feed them the flies, and I just liked looking at how the different spiders would kill the flies. And so, like, I did that for years. And so, which, yeah, like, now I guess it worked out. So that, yeah, so that's what. And then so going from that, so yeah, this is one from middle school, and so I'm from Long Beach, so I used to work at here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. I was a volunteer, and so where this picture I love it because I was so proud that I had a badge. And so where, yeah, so my mom, she searched deep in the archives to find that one. And then this is a picture of me from high school where I used to volunteer at the Long Beach Marine Institute, and so that was just doing like science programs with kids there, and both of these I did some during like the actual school year, but I mainly did it during the summer. And to where with that, I feel like one of the biggest like pieces of advice that I guess I would have would be like just fill your summers up with stuff that you like to do. Like also take your summers as like a time to chill, but like there's a lot of time in the summer, and like just find something that you like to do and just do it. So for me, like I didn't really have a plan at this time that I was going to go into like marine bio, but both of these ended up just being like marine like science stuff, and I just know I like some science, and I just liked animals to where yeah, like I feel like just find stuff that you like to do, and eventually like you'll start to notice a pattern with it kind of, and then just keep on going with it. And so that's pretty much what I did. And so also being from Long Beach, I went to Poly. Do we have anybody from Poly here? Okay. What, Wilson? Oh, okay. Well, we beat you guys in these track meets, but that's all right though. So fair enough. So yeah, so I went to Poly. Oh yeah, also known as. Yeah, we could talk about it later. We'll debate, but there's no fight. But yeah, that's at Wilson. So we had a track meet there where I ran track, so I ran long distance, which I don't know why I did that. I hated running the mile, and but this, so like as you can tell, I'm having a great time running the mile right there. And then I was like the last leg of the relay. I was the last one on the track, but and then I pole vaulted one time just to try to get some points at this track meet so we can actually beat Wilson, which we did. So sorry. And then from there, I went to UCLA, and so quickly in UCLA, I ended up just getting into like research stuff that I enjoyed, and so the main thing that I was trying to follow was like animal behavior research. And so one of the first things I did was join the Pinter-Wollman lab, so shout out Dr. Noah Pinter-Wollman, where we worked on just like behavior in ants. So it was a full circle back around to what I was doing in the backyard of my grandparents, at my grandparents' house. And then also, like Jada mentioned earlier, I joined the Diversity Project. And so that was a program that took us out to French Polynesia, and I got certified as a scientific diver. And then, so spent 6 weeks there just collecting data, and then came back and just started like writing and making presentations for research projects. And then 2 weeks right after I came back from that one, I went to this project, which was out in the Chiricahua Mountains, out in like the New Mexico and Arizona area. And so where it was a full change from being just in a tropical spot to just now I'm in the desert, and like you can see on our ankles we have them wrapped with snake guards basically so that rattlesnakes can't just bite your ankles. And to where the first day we saw like a big like 5-foot rattlesnake, and it was like, all right, this is about to be a long 2.5 weeks. Well, it was actually really cool, and it was a lot of just like counting ants and stuff. But yeah, we had a great time. So now, how I said before, I'm a PhD student at UC Santa Barbara, so I kept on going with the animal behavior side of things, and I kind of combined like my animal behavior work with like the ants, and then my marine work with the Diversity Project. And now I work with cleaner shrimp. That you can see one species right here that we call them client fish. And so they're basically fish that come in for services with these with the cleaner shrimp, and the shrimp will pick off like ectoparasites and dead skin from them, and so they both benefit. Like the fish get a cleaning, and the shrimp just get a meal. And so this is one that cleans an eel. And so I have a video from one that I work with. Let's see if this plays. So this is a species called Ensilomenes longicarpus, and it's circled right there. So look right there for when for when the video starts, and this is just what it looks like blown up. But basically, these guys, they hang out at anemones, and those are like the cleaning stations where fish will come in and recognize that at the anemone they'll get just this cleaning service. And so the shrimp will also do things where they like signal, and so you'll see this shrimp just get excited and start like clapping its arms basically. And so that's like waving the fish in, saying like, come over here, like I'll give you the service, and then it'll hop on. So let's see if this works. Just wait for it, you said. Do I press again? I'm gonna press again and see what happens. Okay, there we go. So the shrimp, yeah, that's it clapping its arm. And then a fish is gonna come in from up here. And so it just goes over, hops on, and just starts cleaning it. And so sometimes the fish, they'll like open up their gills and the shrimp will get all in there. And then like the fish will open up their mouths. And so I'm really interested in when like sometimes they clean predatory fish, which are just fish that eat crustaceans. And so like they'll just hop in the mouths of those. And so like this mutualism is really strong where they just trust each other that it's like, okay, you're not gonna eat me. But I study the behaviors that they do to make sure that they're like, you're not gonna eat me. And so another thing I'm pretty interested in is working with checking and seeing what like different individuals do. So kind of looking at like personalities of the shrimp because they clean in groups. And so this is a species in Silomenes petersoni that I was just in Curacao, which is like an island off of Venezuela. And to where I was there and I was basically practicing just tagging these shrimp. And so all this is I just super glued like a piece of sequins on the back of them. And then I just filmed them so that, yeah, I can see just how they're cleaning. And that's it. So thank you guys. All right.
It's bright up here. Wow. Okay. Hello, my name is Janita. So this is just a little opening slide, just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Rhode Island, so I am an East Coast girl. I've only lived here for 2 years. So I grew up in the tiny, tiny little state of Rhode Island. It's just like the smallest little place on the planet, but I love it. Here's just like some little photos. It's a very small place, but it's a very beautiful place. We have really, really nice beaches, really cute little old towns. This is just like our capital. So I grew up with Lebanese, Italian, and Liberian parents, so a very mixed upbringing, which I think also just sort of translates into my journey into science. I think there's just chaos all the time. So here's just a photo of me and my mom when I graduated. Probably her and my grandmother are like my biggest like support systems. I have a very big, very close family, but I'm like a grandma's girl. So here's just like a picture of me and my mom. My sister is when I was little, and then me and my little brother, who's 8. My mom decided to have another kid when I was 21. And then here, just my fur babies, my cat Sam, my dog, whose name is Puppy. It's a long story. We're not gonna get into it. And then my dog Bruiser. Okay, let's see if this goes. Or we're not gonna go to the next slide. That's okay too. There we go. Okay, so just a little bit about my educational background. So like a lot of people said here in the talks before me, I also started in community college. And it was a little bit of like me not knowing what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. I knew I didn't want to stay in Rhode Island for school, but I didn't know where I wanted to go. So I did a year at Community College of Rhode Island. I hated it. I was supposed to be doing 2 and then transfer, like the normal path from a junior college. And I ended up going to University of Maine. So I stayed kind of close to home, about 5.5 hours. And there I started to gain a lot of my experience. So when I first started school, I actually started, I was in all kinds of different majors. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like a lot of people that spoke before me, again, I knew I liked nature. I knew I loved animals because I grew up, in the ocean state. I grew up camping and just being out in nature a lot. So I actually was like, maybe I want to be a vet. Wait, no, maybe I want to be a pediatrician. Maybe I want to go into forensics. Marine science never crossed my mind. I did not have a very strong science background. I was really bad at math, and to me those things were just together. I'm still bad at math, by the way. So I started school as a fine arts and theater major at CCRI. And then when I transferred to the University of Maine, I was still a theater major, but I had a minor in marine science. And I was like, I want to still kind of explore the science field. Like, I don't want to like get too far into it because I don't think it's going to work out. And I ended up being in some of my classes, and I was like, I actually hate this. So like I said, I started theater, then I went into early childhood education, and I was just remember sitting in my classrooms like, this is the worst, I hate this. And then I was in my marine science classes, and those are the classes I was really excited to be in. I was like really engaged. And so I went on to do that, obviously. I joined Marine Science Club. While I was there, I worked on a couple of projects, working on like tag retention of sturgeon. I worked at the Aquaculture Research Center there. So once I dove in, I dove in. And so once I graduated from University of Maine, I took gap years. It was supposed to be just like a year and a half, but I at first didn't know what I wanted to do. When I was first applying to grad schools, or to to grad schools, I was just like, I don't know even how to do this, because no one in my family had really gone to grad school before. So the first year was me kind of just like flailing, trying to figure it out. Obviously, I missed all the deadlines because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I ended up just taking that time to sort of gain experience. I substitute taught for a little bit, so that was really fun. And then I ended up at Cal State Fullerton. So just going a little bit back just to some of my experience and stuff. So where it began, like I said, I was born and raised in Rhode Island, in the Ocean State, and just a couple of little jobs and things that I've had. I think that when you have time off or you have summers, if you're able to, like, do as much as you can. There are so many opportunities out there for you to gain experience and do really, really cool things. So as you can sort of see, so last summer, I'll start there. Last summer, I was a Eugenie Clark Fellow with Miss, who was mentioned a little bit before. So there I got to do a lot of cool stuff. So obviously I got to work with sharks. I did a lot of like tagging and a lot of field work. I got to work with spotted eagle rays. This was actually this photo up here. I didn't put the other photo up. I should have. There was a point where I had one of the spotted eagle rays just like on my lap. It was probably the coolest experience I've ever had because it was huge. But we were trying to just like take some measurements from it, and I was like, yeah, I'll get in the pool and put that thing on my lap. You don't have to ask me twice. So yeah, I got a lot of experience working with sharks, doing some other stuff out here. I am taking blood from a shark, just working with some of our data that we were pulling up. And so before that, a little bit too, I did some marsh work. Like I said, I worked at the Aquaculture Research Center. I worked for the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management because I also like bugs, so I worked with mosquitoes. Actually, I have a mosquito tattoo because of that, which is a very, very weird tattoo that people ask about. Why do you have that? Don't worry about it. And so, yeah, I just had a lot of gaining different experiences. I still, to this day, try to do as much as I can. Like, if there's an opportunity, I'm jumping on it. And I'm sort of still trying to figure out if I want to continue my research and go on to a PhD. I don't think I mentioned that, like, I'm a master's student in the Fab Lab at Cal State Fullerton. So I'm just trying to figure out what I sort of want to do next. Okay, so now I will talk a little bit about my research very quickly. So I, as it probably looked, I am a shark girl at heart, but I work with cephalopods right now. So these are the two species that I work with. So this is the, go back, there we go. This is the species that I started with, Doryteuthis opalescens, and that's one here in California. And then Lolliuncula brevis is the one that I was working with recently. So just a little bit about that. So my research is in biomechanics. So Fab Lab, the lab that I was mentioning, we're the functional anatomy, biomechanics, and biomaterials lab at Cal State Fullerton, working under Dr. Peg Tran. And so my research is working on squid bite forces. So basically, I'm just trying to see how hard they bite. No one's ever done it. It's very interesting because I think a lot of people don't realize that squid actually have beaks, very similar sort of to birds. And there's sort of like a little illustration here for a diagram that I had made for something. and you can kind of see the beak. So basically, I use this device up here, and this is just a little strain meter, and then inside here, there's a little tiny circle. It's probably the size of like a quarter, and these bite plates that attach to it, and basically the squid bite on the edge of these bite plates, and it reads out a number to here. I like translate that number into a force, and then it tells me how hard they bite. However, recently I was at Old Dominion University, so this is me, I actually just got back last Saturday, so a week ago. I traveled to another university because the two species that I had showed you, the California one, I was not able to get here, so I had to travel for my research. And so here's just some photos of me trying to gather my data. Here's me holding the squid with my bite plates in my hand, trying to get it mad, very mad, so that it will bite. That essentially is my research, just trying to make squid mad. And they get mad. There were a few times where I was like, I'm gonna get my finger, like, I'm gonna get bit. But while I was there, I got no data. So just a general comment, if you're gonna get into research science, be comfortable with change, especially if you're gonna work with live animals, because they don't do what you want ever. Ever. So my project actually is in the process of changing right now, so I don't really have any details to tell you about that because I'm kind of just switching to more morphological project. That's pretty much about my research. So just a quick thank you to my family, obviously, my friends, the Fab Lab, so they're all pictured here. I didn't ask anybody if these photos were okay, so I hope they are. And to the Bartoll Labs, this is the lab that I was working with in Virginia. And then obviously to the Aquarium of the Pacific and to Allie. And that's my talk.
All right, let's have one more round of applause for all of our amazing lightning talks. Incredible, incredible. I am now going to invite all of our scholars who just spoke, come on up to the stage. We have a little bit of time for Q&A. Anthony, can you grab those name badges too? So here are a couple notes as our scholars are coming up to find a spot. We're going to invite you to ask some questions. I just want to remind everyone that as we do questions, thank you, Candace is going to have a microphone. She's going to be on that side of the auditorium over there. I'm going to have a microphone on this side. You might think, no, I'm really loud. It's okay. I can just say it. We have our online audience as well. Hey, online audience, hi. We want to make sure that they hear your questions. So if you have a question, please speak it directly into the microphone so that we can hear it, okay? Can we have the house lights on as well so we can see the audience? Yeah, there you are. Hi, everybody. My gosh. All right, who has a question to start it off? It can be for somebody individually. It can be a general question. Who wants to get us started? Don't be, okay, here we go.
Anybody can answer this question. I just want to know if scuba diving can be like scary.
We got a lot of divers up there. Great question.
Hello.
Yep.
Here. Hi. With scuba diving, I would say it depends. That's a very big answer in a lot of things. It depends on your comfortability with the ocean. Me personally, I would say scuba diving is not scary to me. There's training you can take to get more prepared for it. People will tell you like, oh, you're going to see these animals. This is what you're going to do. And ultimately with scuba diving, you never do anything that makes you uncomfortable. With like, for me, for example, people can dive up to like 400 feet underwater if they want. That makes me a little uncomfortable. And so I still scuba dive. I just don't do the scuba diving that I don't feel comfortable doing. And so scuba diving is really fun. And I think you should get certified because it is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. And you should do it. And just do it safely. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. And so, sorry. And so, for me, it's like I got But how you said, yeah, it is like one of the best things that I've just done too. But there's definitely times that I'm just like nervous out there, and to where, yeah, more for like with me. So when I got trained, how I was saying, I got trained in French Polynesia. The water's super clear, really warm, and then I came back here, and they were like, oh, let's do some local dives. Water is really cold, and like it's murky sometimes, and I'm just not good with that. And to where like I used to do a lot of just like local fishing here, and so I always thought like I never really like. While I was in the boat, I never thought to get in the water, like while I was here, you know? So it seemed like a little bit different once I got on a boat here, and it was like, okay, let's get in the water now. And yeah, just knowing that like there's sharks and stuff, like it just, and there's sharks in tropical spots too. But no, sharks are cool, I just don't want to be jump scared. I just feel like I'm gonna get jump scared. Like I know they're not actually gonna do anything to me. I just always feel like I'm gonna turn around and just one's gonna be right there and just boom, dart away. But never really happens like that, and like nothing happens to where it's not actually scary. But it can just be like, yeah, like you can get nervous with it and stuff too.
And if I can add a little bit to that, our dive safety officer at Scripps always says it's good to have like a healthy dose of fear, like a little tiny bit of fear, because that reminds you to be careful and to be very mindful when you're going through diving, and that they'll teach you all of the techniques you need to know to make sure you're doing things safely, and that's like doing safety checks with your partner, making sure your gear is working well. So as long as you're very mindful and following the rules, and usually when there's diving accidents or someone passes away, it's because they kind of cut corners and weren't being careful. So having a little dose of fear is fine, and can help you be very careful and keep yourself and everybody safe. But yeah, I also heavily encourage it. It's been an awesome experience. I love it.
Also to piggyback, yes, get scuba certified. It's the best thing ever. I just got scuba certified less than a year ago, so I had no clue that I ever have to scuba dive. But just for like personal and educational reasons, even if you're on the fence of getting scuba certified or not, I highly suggest you do, just because once you get into college, a lot of lab advisors or graduate advisors are looking for students. So if you want to get into a graduate program and do research, the first people that they're looking for are people that are boat certified, scuba certified, scientifically certified, obviously. Everybody that has those certifications, because that gets you, up on the list if you want to get experience with graduate research.
Who has the next question?
I'm curious how you were able to finance going to all of these different places. Was it that you had a number of part-time jobs, or did the university fund you in going to faraway places? I mean, Belize, Indonesia, for example. How about that?
I think I can speak for everybody up here. We don't have funding, but also you have to apply for a lot of grants and scholarships. So that's probably also that you guys should know as well. If you want to study abroad, get experience, like a lot of us have with research with sharks or whatever you want to do, you have to apply for grants, like a lot of grants, and you're going to have to learn how to write. And I'm not a good writer. But I prevailed, obviously, and look where it's gotten me. Yeah.
Hello? Also, just to sort of add on to that, there was a lot of working, at least for me, working while in school. There are some opportunities that you will get where, you apply for something and they'll have some money to pay. But I feel like a lot of it is, you're going to have to probably work unless you're really privileged and you have parents that can pay for it. You're gonna have to work and sort of do both, and it's just one of those things you really have to love, because it's hard work to do both. It's a lot, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Hi guys. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay. Okay, so like I said earlier, I was a manager at the Habit Grill, and that's where I started, right?
And then I was a lifeguard, and then I was a water safety instructor, so I taught people how to swim and little babies. And I also was a nanny, and then I also taught surf lessons. So I had a lot of jobs throughout my undergraduate degree, and I still do. But the way that I got introduced into marine science was through something called a research experience for undergrads. And these are experiences that can basically take you with no research experience and kind of show you the ropes of science and how to conduct research. And it also starts you off with scientific connections, which is really valuable in my pathway. And they also pay you. A lot of them do. So I would look into research experience for undergrads if you would like to get involved in research.
I would say just to like be able to travel and stuff, one of the biggest things, and this would make my mom laugh, this is really big for everyone in high school. I did not listen to my mom, and I didn't apply to scholarships for so long because I was like, I'm just going to work. And I worked a bunch of jobs. I did Starbucks, did lifeguarding, did marine science jobs. And I just focused on that versus focusing on scholarships. And I recommend the best thing you guys can do is focus on both, because I got 3 scholarships this year, just putting in that little bit of effort. And you saw my presentation, I was able to go to this many places just because scholarship applications are amazing to do. And I really think everyone should do that.
I guess going with that too, so like, yeah, there's definitely work that you have to do to just cover like your normal like cost of living and stuff like that. But for your research projects, you definitely, for the most part, like shouldn't be paying just out of pocket to cover like your different things of like going to the field. And like when I say going to the field, like going to different places, like traveling where you're doing your research costs. There's a lot of money out there through different like external organizations, or just like your school will have a lot of money to, like the school that you, like the university that you're going to where like for my project I have to use a lot of just GoPro cameras, and like each one of those cameras is like close to, I don't even know, like yeah, they're a bunch, and to where I have to use a bunch, but I'm definitely not paying for those cameras. But it's like I'm just writing, I'm writing different grants and just trying to get different grants that'll like add up eventually and just cover my different costs, to where there's money out there and you just got to write and go get it basically. And to where I also don't feel like I'm that good at writing, but I just keep on writing until something works, and then once that works I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep on doing it like that. So like there's definitely money just out there through different stuff where like you shouldn't be covering just your own costs to do your research. You got to figure out like your own costs sometimes through just like normal paying rent and stuff like that. But for your actual research, like there's money out there, and you just got to just keep on writing and keep on applying the stuff and go and get it.
Hi. Question to the panel. Knowing what you know now and experiencing what you experienced all through college and possibly before then, what would you do differently now? And kind of how would you approach your work differently? Yeah, knowing what you know now.
Hi. Okay, so I think something that I have done my entire life is thinking that I have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. And by striving to be perfect, you're kind of telling yourself this narrative that you're not good enough, which isn't true. So go try new things. You might not be the best at it, but you're still trying things out. If you miss a deadline, it's not the worst thing. It's okay. Life will go on. But also, like, if you don't know what you want to do, that's okay. You have time. You have your entire life to figure out what you really want to do. A lot of people don't know what they want to do yet. So it's, I would say don't put as much pressure on yourself.
Going off of what Jada said, definitely it's okay to not know what you don't want to do or you do want to do. I still don't know what I want to do, and I'm in my last year of undergrad research, but another thing is to ask for help. It's okay. Reach out to people. Don't feel embarrassed, because I know transitioning into high school to a four-year university, it was a little intimidating for me, especially in bigger classes with strangers. And if you don't feel comfortable asking for help in front of everyone, go to your professor's office hours. Definitely get to know them. They are there to help you 100%.
ladies first.
Thank you. Something that a piece of advice I was given in my first year of the PhD program. I experienced, and I would imagine a lot of us have, those barriers that people of color will experience when going through any space, really, in particular for us in academia. There's going to be moments of exclusion. There's going to be times when people don't accept your ideas, but will take your idea from somebody else that has repackaged your idea and used your idea. There's going to be moments where people don't value you when you enter a space, and what I was told is to know your worth. And so whenever you go in any space really, like walk in with confidence, with your head held high, and know that whatever space you walk into, you're there because you belong there and because you have so much to offer and so much value to you that you can bring to that space. So any lab you work in, any institution you work for, they're lucky to have you there and really move through that space in that manner. My first year in the PhD, I felt very meek. I didn't feel like I belonged. I almost left my first quarter. And now I walk around like I own the place. And I walk in my pink little mini skirts. And I'm like, yeah, I do science. I drive the boats. And so just really just know who you are, know your worth, and then also build a strong community. I joke, it's a little bit of a sad joke, but the world is going to spend a lot of energy into bringing you down and to trying to push you out, and really have that strong sense of community, of friends, of family, and of peers that can support you while you're navigating this, because you're going to really lean on each other as you encounter those challenges, which is why things like having this cohort and having multiple programs you can be a part of are so important.
Definitely agree with everybody up here, but just to piggyback off what Kimberly said, so something that I wish I've done earlier, I'm pretty sure everybody in here has experienced this once, but get out of your introvert shell. Don't just be in class and leave right after when it's over. When you get into college, there's going to be a lot of your professors that are doing undergraduate research, so that's an opportunity for you to get hands-on experience on how you can do research, and then that helps build your resume, and then that can help you propel yourself to other future opportunities. So as soon as you get into college, don't be shy. Always ask questions, always stay after class. You're going to have to stay for office hours for some of your classes. For example, Dr. Christopher Lowe in the Shark Lab, I think anybody will tell you, the man looks intimidating. He has the bald head, he has the beard, and he just looks so intimidating to walk up to and just ask questions. But I walked up and asked them questions of how I can get involved, and ever since then it's just been, I just shot up and look where I'm at now, just for opening up your mouth, and closed mouths don't get fed.
All right. Thank you so much to our panel. Can we give them a big round of applause? So we're going to take a little bit of a break while we reset for our next portion. During this break, I encourage you to really listen to Anthony's advice, and if there is somebody around you that you might want to go up and say, hey, I really liked your talk, or I loved how you said that, please take that opportunity. I think that everyone who presented themselves as very friendly and open and willing to share. So thank you all for sharing your stories. We are going to meet back here a few minutes before 11. We're running just a little behind, but that's okay. Our online audience, you will see a screen that will tell you that we'll be back. Let's plan to be back in here about 5 minutes to 11. All right, thank you so much. Before we get started with the next part of our program, just want to make sure, Wilson Lakewood students, I want to make sure you know what to expect, because I heard a couple of people say, wait, what? I thought we were just going to the aquarium. I thought we were just going to walk around and see fish. And here I am in a theater, and that is not what I expected. So thank you for rolling with it. Here's what we're going to do. You just had an opportunity to hear from 7 of our 2023 cohort of our African American scholars. They were really excited to speak directly to you as high school students. We now have an opportunity to hear from 2 folks who are further along in their career. So the design of our program today is we want our scholars to have the opportunity to speak to themselves in the past. That's why we have our high school students, but also hear from their potential future selves as we explore that next career option and some different ways that STEM fields can show up as careers. We're going to hear from them. We're also going to have an opportunity to do some question and answer. We will then feed you. We're going to give you food at about 12:30, and our goal is that we have our panelists, our scholars, our high school students, and our teachers join us upstairs on the veranda for lunch. High school students, yes, you will still have the opportunity to explore the aquarium after lunch. We want you to enjoy the aquarium. Our afternoon program is an opportunity really for our scholars to come together and to continue to form those relationships. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Come on in. You just heard the most important announcement of the day, which is when is lunch. Lunch will be at 12:30 for our high school students and our scholars. Similarly to this morning, we'll have 2 presentations and we'll ask you to hold our questions till the end. Our first panelist is Nicole Cropper, Deputy Director of Equity, Environmental Justice, and Tribal Affairs with the California Fish and Wildlife. Please join me in welcoming Nicole.
I have to be honest. Can everyone hear me? I have to be honest, and that podium's stressed me out, so I'm not going to stand behind the podium. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm super excited to hear from actually all of our scholars today, because it reminds me a lot of my career path and what I imagine it would be, and then kind of what it ended up being. The green button? Yes. Okay, so a little bit about me. I actually grew up in a military family. Both my parents were in the Coast Guard. And so I had the pleasure of always being by the ocean. And my mom specifically always took time to get us out there in the water. I was swimming from a very young age and had the opportunity to live in Puerto Rico for a few years. And when I did, we would go swimming with dolphins. And I knew from that moment that I wanted to be a marine biologist. Unfortunately, when I got to high school, I was living in Georgia and had a counselor who told me, that's not the career for you. You're not able to do that. Why don't you go into engineering? So my first semester of college, I went into computer engineering and absolutely hated it. That was not my jam. And so then I actually ended up leaving college for about 10 years and went back later in life and got my degree in English. And I actually just graduated earlier in this year with my master's in public policy and public administration. Thank you. I will say that I have done all the jobs in the world. I have a very diverse work experience. I was a manicurist. I used to own a nail salon and was a fellow, and then came to Sacramento, which is why I'm in the position that I am in now. So like Ali said, I'm the Deputy Director of Equity, Environmental Justice, and Tribal Affairs. And basically what that means is that I provide resources to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to make sure that we are incorporating everybody in our work, that we are talking to people like you to get them involved in the workplace at the department, but also just in the sciences broadly. And I think the second part of that work is to make sure that we are engaging with everybody in California, right? There's 40 million or so people here. That we're engaging with everyone to get them interested in conservation, in the sciences, in biology, because we need everybody, right, to care for the environment. Just kind of some fun stuff. I love reading all the things. I'm actually a really big fantasy reader. I love graphic novels, really weird ones. I won't share what those are. But you know, that actually brings me joy, and that's what I do in my spare time. And I have a whole array of animals. I love dogs. I have a couple of bearded dragons at home. I have a Pac-Man frog. I have, what else? I have a lot of fish, cichlids actually, in my aquarium. And one day when I retire at 50, that's what I've decided. I want to live on a farm. I want to have mini cows, mini goats, and all the wildlife. All right, so actually I already talked about my career a little bit. And just as you can see, right, it's really diverse. And all of these things really got me to the place where I am. And someone asked, you know, if you were, what would you tell your past self? And I think one of the scholars said it the best, was this is not a linear path, right? I ended up at the place that I am, but I have been kind of around the world and back. And I think what's beautiful is that, you know, even though I wanted to start as a marine biologist, wasn't able to study in that field, I'm back here, right? So everything does come full circle. I think I also wanted to mention that, you know, as I was thinking about transitioning careers from being a manicurist to, you know, working for the state, I am a fighter, right? And so my job and what I really wanted to do was to fight for people to have the same access and opportunities that other more privileged people do. And so I entered into what was called an executive fellowship. And basically what that is, it's run through the California Studies, the California Center, the Center for California Studies, excuse me, and they take about 18 people from across the state, and they give them this experience where you get to sit with directors and deputy directors, and they are your mentors. You get to do their jobs, basically, for about 18 months. And it was such a dynamite experience and great exposure into the policymaking space. And I think it was there where I really saw kind of the connection between public policy and the sciences, for example. I really wasn't sure what that looked like, but having that experience definitely showed me that it can be all interconnected. After the fellowship, I was an advisor for one of the commissioners at the Public Utilities Commission. So basically, you know, we regulate your energy, water, your phone service. That's what we do at the Public Utilities Commission. And then, and now I am working at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. All right, so about the department a little bit, we basically protect nature, right? So all of the work that we do is to protect the resources, the habitat, fish, all the things that all of you actually get to study. That is our jobs. We have a lot of work also in the permitting space, so if anyone's building anything in the state, you know, they have to come through us to make sure that we are mitigating the environmental impacts of whatever that infrastructure is. I think the last piece that I actually care the most about is our education and outreach. So we have a lot of work that we do with local high schools, elementary schools, where we kind of show them the different species that live in this state. And so that exposure at an early age, I think actually creates a pathway into the sciences, into the fields that we work in. And I think the last part of my job that I also really, really, really love is just talking about, you know, the department and the work that we do. I think it's important to get people excited, right? We're talking about we need to conserve our natural resources, but in order to do that, we need everybody. And in order to do that, we need to get them excited about it and get them to care about the work that we do. So about the department, and I promise I'm not going to read this whole boring slide, but I wanted to just show the breadth of work that we do at the department. I think certainly when I first started there, I was looking at us like we only did, you know, people hunt, we give them hunting license, people fish, we provide them fishing license, and that was kind of the extent of the work. When in reality, we have so many cool branches and departments and programs within the department that I think are super neat. I'll give you one example. I have an opportunity to travel a lot across the state and get to do some really, really cool, I was going to curse, so thank you. I get to do some really cool things. For example, last month, I went with a couple of our scientists and spent a couple of days tagging wolves. We got to sit in like we drove around Northern California, Wolves are coming back into the state, and we're finding new groups of wolves all the time. And so they took me out into the field, and we followed tracks, and we're looking at scat, and got to track wolves, which is the coolest thing to me in the world. Another opportunity I had was to go out ocean fishing, right? So we have a huge marine protected area network, and we also will regulate the activities of commercial fishermen. And so I had the opportunity to go out in the ocean and just go fish, and my job pays for that, which I think is kind of awesome. All right, so a little bit about my office is that, again, we provide the resources for the department to think about how we do our work differently. Traditionally, in kind of this space, I'm just going to be really honest, it's a very, very, very non-diverse space is what I will say, and not a lot of people of color are in this space for a variety of reasons. And so my job is to look at all of our practices, policies, the way that we do business, and making sure that we're talking to everybody, that we are engaging with everybody, that I get to come out here and talk to you all about the work that we do in hopes that you'll be interested and eventually end up working for us. And so all of you all, I'm talking to everyone in the front row here. If you're ever interested in working at the Department of Fish and Wildlife, please do. Talk to me. We would love to have you and be honored. The second part of my job, which is really neat, and I actually just started doing it, is working with tribes. And so California has an array of Native American tribes who are looking at, getting their land back from being stolen, right? They were massacred. And so the department is doing, I think, trying to do a better job of engaging with tribes to create kind of that co-beneficial relationship. And so my work is building relationship with tribal leaders, tribal members, understanding a little bit better what their needs are, what their wants are, and then how can we develop processes and procedures to do right by tribes. So that was a really short presentation, but I wanted to have so much more time for questions. I don't love to present. I like having more discussions. So please ask all the questions. Actually, also, please really welcome folks to reach out to me. I am here for all of you. I love having one-on-one conversations. I very much believe in mentorship. And so, that's also an opportunity. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I love when someone needs space, like then takes the space to move around. I like it. Next up, please join me in welcoming Charles Hopper, the Chief Operating Officer at Birch Aquarium at UC San Diego.
Okay. Can everyone hear me okay? Fantastic. I think me and Q&A is what stands between you and lunch. And so I'll use my full 2 hours that they gave me. No, I'm just messing with you. There's nothing I like more than an unexpected, shorter than expected PowerPoint. And so I'll try to keep my remarks short but meaningful. First, I want to thank Aquarium of the Pacific for hosting this event, and more especially the scholars who are here that give this event significance. Your research, what you're doing, how you're impacting the field, and what ultimately will impact our globe gives this validation. And so thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being excellent. Okay. They gave me instructions, but of course, I don't remember exactly what to do with this, so if I mess it up, forgive me. I called this talk Improvising a Path of Excellence. My path is anything but traditional, and a leadership odyssey. And as you can see, I'm pacing myself to use that full 2 hours. Okay, we are family. So I'm going to introduce you to my family from left to right. Nathaniel, my son-in-law Nico, standing to Nathaniel's left. Zanea, Jordan, Aisha, and me holding our granddaughter. Soleil. I said granddaughter. Does he have a granddaughter? Yes, I do. And here's a closer shot of that family. I show this shot because one of my challenges as a father is getting my kids to pay attention for 5 seconds so we can get a family photo. And so this is just moments before that photo there. This is the situation right here. The journey. So my journey, as I said, is untraditional, but it's a journey that led me from the United States Air Force to becoming a voting member for the Grammy Awards to UC San Diego's Birch Aquarium at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. It's not one without challenge, and it's not one without a windy road. And so all that sounds cool, but it really starts here at the Art Institute of Seattle, where I first engaged into a pursuit of audio engineering, which is a passion of mine. I can remember since the days of being a kid wanting to make music, create music, and let the world hear it. So after the Air Force, I used my Montgomery GI Bill to go back to school, and I studied audio engineering. It was at this time that I landed an internship at a studio. This is the studio where I landed that internship. It's London Bridge Studios, which is famous for the foundations of grunge music. So Nickelback, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, bands you kids do not know. Okay, Pearl Jam, give it up. But it's the stuff of legend in Seattle, Washington, and in Shoreline. This studio is famous. I had the opportunity to work here for 15 years and actually led the division that brought in diversifying that offering that this studio had for its audience. Everything from contemporary jazz to hip hop, I had the opportunity to bring into this studio. At the same time, while I got this internship through the Art Institute of Seattle, I also landed a job at the Seattle Aquarium as an audiovisual contractor. And being an AV contractor doesn't sound that glorious, but it is. It's a pretty cool job because I got to do audio engineering and get paid for it, unlike the internship I had at London Bridge Studios. But it would be here at the Seattle Aquarium where I discovered water. And it wasn't that I didn't know what water was, but it was my introduction to what water actually meant and conserving it for our planet and the importance of it. It would be here that my discovery, like these kids in the out in nature, are discovering new things. Someone helped me to discover something new. It was when I fixed a diver communication system so that the divers can speak to the dry side interpreter, that they decided to name a cabazon after me. And my first question was, what's a cabazon? But that discovery continued. And it would be also where I understood the disparity between my access to ocean narratives and the opportunity to give access to ocean narratives to underrepresented communities that didn't traditionally see it. It would be within the framework of a public institution that offered access to underwater visions through kids like this, or the kids that you see right outside of these doors, yourselves, when your teachers decide to create curriculum to engage in it. You don't necessarily have to have PADI certification, although I do encourage that. You could see it right through the windows of an aquarium, and you can understand your passion for it as well. You can get up close and touch it, be personal with it, and deepen your connection to it. The Seattle Aquarium had a bold vision when I was coming up as an AV contractor. And so I wanted to meet this vision to be a jewel on the Seattle Aquarium's on the Seattle waterfront, and the Seattle Aquarium being that vision. And so I knew I had to do a little bit more than just have a degree in audio engineering and AV skills. So I went back to school. I went back to school at the Seattle Pacific University, a Methodist school, 15 minutes from their campus is 15 minutes from the Seattle Aquarium. It was convenient, but they also had a really good business school. And so at Seattle Pacific University, I went there for 7 years straight, and I did my undergrad in finance. And that undergrad in finance led to an opportunity for me to have upward mobility in the institution. I then continued my pursuits and got my master's in business administration. Those led to 2 jobs, the business operations manager role at the Seattle Aquarium, and also a senior business operations manager which later landed me a opportunity to serve as the Chief Operating Officer at Birch Aquarium at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. But what I will say is that it's not an easy journey. I'm gonna give you a typical day of what that looks like. When we talked about challenges and having to work and go to graduate school, let me just walk you through one of my days. This title, I Will Survive, I did. I'm here. Let me walk you through it. All right, 8 a.m. That's the time I would need to arrive at work. But prior to that, I would need to drop off my kids at school. I was commuting 90 miles a day to drop them off at college, high school, and middle school. Then I would show up at work. I'd do a full day of work at the Seattle Aquarium, and then I'd go to school right after. I went to, this is a picture of me in a photo shoot for my master's study, and they still use this, my IP to this day without any royalties, but that's okay. Shout out to Seattle Pacific University. This is my donation for those watching. And after 3-hour classes and working on projects with my colleagues, I would then go back to London Bridge Studios. And if I had a studio session that night, that could last anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. And that means that if you're doing that math, I didn't sleep. I would go straight from the studio, and Aisha, my wife, if you're watching, thank you for your patience. I would go straight from the studio, and some days, if I didn't bring a change of clothes, I had to stop at Macy's so I could pick up off the last act rack a couple of shirts and some clean clothes and take a shower in the diver's locker and get back to work and do it all over again. That's a grind, and it's one that has payoff. So this next one, at last, I've arrived at one of the most important research institutions for ocean conservation on the planet. Scripps Institution of Oceanography is where a discovery for ocean and atmospheric science happens. It's where some of you, it's where I work with my colleague Danielle, okay, who is influential, impactful, and making waves and opportunities for others in the same spaces that we recognize are underrepresented. What I will say there is a couple of you have said, hey, I'd like to work at UC San Diego or Scripps Institution of Oceanography. We would love to have you. Please reach out. I will give you one of my cards right after this. Please reach out, and we will figure out how to give you the best opportunity at being with us. We'd be lucky to have you. It's here at... Hey, wake up. Institution of Oceanography and their public outreach center, Birch Aquarium, is a unique model in the nation. It's a place where you can discover at the aquarium your ocean narrative, what's happening in your own backyard right here in that marine protected area. And then you can go to college on that same campus. You can do your undergrad in marine biology. You can do your graduate studies. And then you can do your research. And that research can one day ultimately end up right in the same place that you discovered it, and perpetuating a cycle of opportunity, forward momentum, and discovery. I will say thank you to our AV tech in the back. This is not easy work, and I know it firsthand, so thank you so much. I will say this. I didn't have all of the tools and the skills and the resources necessary to get to where I am without the help of others. And so I'm going to say that I want to be that for you all here today. Lean on me. Be a part of what others were for me, and let me be that for you. And then I would encourage you to be that for someone else. Pay it forward and be willing to go beyond. All right. That's a little bit about me. But this isn't really about me, it's about you. And so I'm gonna give these sonnets into this odyssey, an odyssey being a feature song or a long length song, and sonnets being the little pieces of those songs. I'm going to give it another pass. We Are Family, a musical piece by Sister Sledge. All right? Now, if you don't know that, young folks in rows 3, 4, and 5, look it up. Your mom and dad play it at home. But we are family. We are a family, and our journey emphasizes the importance of unity. Our roles at our collective institutions and where we're at are necessary. Our network is necessary for us to have meaningful impact. The Journey, a cool song by her, if you haven't heard it. It's one where she talks about changing the dynamics of changing her dynamics and overcoming challenges. So this song resonates deeply with me professionally because I started as an AV technician and became a chief operating officer. That's a journey. You all started somewhere, and you're going to end up somewhere beyond what you think today. Water, I don't know if you guys know this song. Does everybody know this song? Okay, you do know it, huh? All right. Just as the song says and the title symbolizes, water means to be adaptable. My career has been fluid, it's been evolving and embracing change. I encourage you all to be adaptable to and be able to adapt to what is on its way for you. Water takes on many different forms, and much like the roles that you will undertake, be willing to change. It's all right. Hey, y'all having fun with that. That's what it was meant to do. I Will Survive, a cool song by Gloria Gaynor. Y'all know this one? Hey, okay. I like that. Wait a second. Now you got to hit it, though, if you're going to do it. You got to do it right. All right. It's a tough one to master, so you won't get me trying that. But many unexpected challenges are coming your way, yet cherish the path. You will survive. Scholars, there will be challenges. Our high schoolers, there will be challenges. But let the song remind you that not only will you survive, but you'll thrive in the face of adversity. At last. Okay, you guys are getting it, huh? Now you see where I'm going with this. Okay. I don't know if you can hear this at home, but God bless those giving their best attempt. All right. At last, a song by Etta James that will eventually let you know that you've reached a point and a milestone that you are trying to get to. Don't let it be the end of your journey. Just let it be another step, another milestone. Lean on me. Hey, when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I love that you guys are jumping in. I've leaned on mentors, I've leaned on support systems, and scholars, I would tell you, lean on me, lean on your support system, lean on your mentors, lean on people that are willing to give you an opportunity, that aren't willing to give you an opportunity, challenge them to think about it in a different way. There are many supporters for the things that you're going to do, and they're in the wings waiting for you. A couple are here that have asked questions, and a couple I've spoken to that are a part of putting this scholarship and this symposium together. Allie, you've done an amazing job. Lean on us and help others to lean on you when you get the opportunity. And the last one I didn't tell you guys in the first pass, but I'll tell you now. I'll be around. It's a cool song by the Spinners. Your mom and dad know it. Again, and if you need me, I'm going to pass out my cards and my contact information, and I'll be here for you. Last, I'll leave you with a quote by Maya Angelou, just saying that you alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. Sit with that. That's it. Thank you.
All right. That was amazing that there was at-home audience. We're going to have to get some B-roll of the... Yep. No, that's okay. Hold on. Can our incredible AV, you want the quote, the Maya Angelou quote?
Well,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Nicole, come on up and join us. Can we have the house lights on, please?
We had a dance party planned. No, we don't.
All right, Nicole, Charles, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of yourselves, and thank you for being open to the Q&A. And I appreciate, Nicole, what you said. I think that a lot of value comes from those in-person, those direct questions. So, who has the question to start us off? Who wants to get us started? Yeah, Dan.
Thank you both for those amazing talks and really invigorating me, helping me feel like I can continue on my academic path. I have a question for you, Nicole. You mentioned that I think a few weeks ago, some time ago, you were out like looking at wolves and following the pack, looking at scats. You're doing that science piece, but also your role as the deputy director of Jedi. So I was just wondering, in your role, like, what is it like kind of balancing that science piece and the Jedi piece, working with indigenous tribes and communities? And I feel like they can be one, but how is that navigating it in both spaces and kind of convincing folks from both spaces that it's one space?
Yeah, am I on? Okay. That's a really good question, actually, because I think that was one, when I first started, I struggled with. And what I realized, because I do a lot of like field trips and engaging with field staff, a lot of my work is just one-on-one, talking to them about what they do, what does their work look like, how do they engage with people currently, and then using that information to develop resources that other scientists can use as they're engaging with people. I'm going to say this, and I mean this in the most loving way possible. I work with a lot of scientists, and y'all are introverted. Like, do not like to talk to people. I know not all, I'm making a big generalization, but what I find in my department is that there's a lot of care and focus on the animals, on the habitat, on the wildlife, and they have forgotten about the people. And from my perspective, the people are the most important. And so that's how I kind of merge the two is, yes, you're doing great work, but no one's going to know about your work if you don't talk to people about it. Thank you for that question.
Oh, we have a question back here.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your talks. They were really inspiring. As an early career professional, one of the things that I run into a lot is feeling a lack of motivation when I am the only minority in my office. My family doesn't really understand where I'm coming from with the difficulties and the acclimation period to a new position. So what are some of the tools that you've both learned throughout your journey to remain tenacious, remain determined, and remain motivated?
Thanks for that question. It's a space that I find myself in quite often, and even being realized in my career, I still am challenged with this. And early on, you almost go through a journey of validation first, and you have to feel, you feel like, do I belong in this space? You have imposter syndrome, or imposter complex, I should say, versus syndrome, or phenomena is a better word instead of complex, of imposter phenomena. And someone mentioned earlier, I don't remember who said it, and so apologies, but that you have an idea and then someone reframes and takes that idea and then represents it. Happens to this day. Or what I think this person is trying to say when they're referring to me. And so what I would say is all of those things happen, and they're happening, and you almost feel like you're going crazy when it's happening to you, and so you start to feel like you need to remove or not be more outward. And I'm gonna say one of the things that has been the best version of getting over that for me is challenging myself in those moments to speak up, to be more vocal, to represent, because I'm focused on, it isn't really just me or what I'm saying in this meeting or how I'm presenting in this meeting. It's for everyone else that isn't in this meeting. And so the way that, so that's the initial part of it. And the second part of it is finding community after I'm in those spaces to, make sure that I'm having a family that I could talk about it with, that understand what I'm going through, and validate some of the things that I think are playing out in my mind. And am I going crazy when I'm saying this? And they'll oftentimes make me feel like, yeah, you're not. That's happening to me. I'm sure in this space we're all feeling very comfortable and familiar, but when we go back to our classrooms or to our labs or where we're at, we're removed from this a dynamic that feels very familiar, that like it does in this room. And so just remember, the community's big, and try to work with each other and stay connected and talk to each other about the things you're going through, and then figure out ways to break through and how can you overcome it. Thank you for that question, and I hope it answered it in some way.
Can I add to that? So yes to everything. I would also add, in my experience, a little bit different, because I am an oldest sister and I am like a fighter. Don't try me, right? And so I think when I'm in those spaces, I was the first African American on the executive team at the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and so just understanding kind of that culture, there's a lot of barriers, and the community piece is 100% the only thing that keeps me there. I got into this space because I didn't want people to have the same experiences that I did. And so that is always my motivation, but sometimes that gets lost. The work is super frustrating. I'm trying to change people's hearts, and that doesn't always go well, right? And so building that community, I think, is 100% the way you do it, but also know that you're enough. However you show up, you're enough, right? Like, I've got tattoos, I've got piercings, I've got the whole business. I am autistic, right? And all of that those are my superpowers, and that's what makes me who I am. And so I think just standing in who you are and being okay with that is 100% like that's gonna, I think, bring you the peace and support that you need.
Hey, thank you guys for those amazing presentations, by the way. I have a question for Nicole. So, since you're being a part of Fish and Wildlife of California, I just wanted to know, I was curious, since, freshwater salmon, their populations are going down, I was curious in the details and wanted to know, do you play any role of kind of helping that out a little bit or no?
I do, actually. So a large part of kind of saving salmon is, I don't know if you all have heard, but we are removing the Klamath Dam, which is one of the largest dams in California, which has kept the salmon from coming down from super northern California down to Southern California. It's a huge project, but it was a project that was largely led by indigenous communities where salmon is incredibly important to them. And so my role in that space is to engage with these indigenous, they're not communities, governments, they are full-on governments, to engage with them and like, what do you want to see in this space, right? Like, these are your ancestral lands, these are your territories. What does this look like for you as far as like recreation, as far as, gathering culturally significant plants and animals and whatnot. And so that's kind of how my role is in that space. I'm not involved necessarily in kind of the science piece and, how are species going to transfer from one place to the other. But definitely, how are people going to use these spaces as these dams come down? Thank you for that.
We have a question back here.
Hi. My question is for Nicole, but Charles, you can chime in if you want to. I used to work as a scientific aide for CDFW, and kind of just want your advice. In our professional careers, all of us going in that direction, how do you suggest we handle petty inconveniences that can be excused, such as like resources being withheld or having our positions demeaned, for lack of a better term, because they're not necessary for a general or specific task in a workplace, in a bureaucratic institution that might have a greater derogatory meaning?
That is a great question. I will say, first of all, SciAids are the unspoken gems of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They're completely underpaid, and we rely on them so much to do a lot of like the field science that we do at the department. So thank you for working there. I would say, to answer your question, is rely on your resources, right? Use people that have positions of power to leverage whatever you're trying to accomplish. I think that oftentimes, I'm going to say leaders, specifically in the executive office or whatever, don't always feel or don't always seem approachable. And that is probably true for the most part, but definitely when you find someone like myself, like Charles, really leverage our positions of power and our experience, right? Because that's how you build your network. I know that the work is, really hard, especially when you're at that level. And it's hard to see, the light through the forest, quite frankly. But you can only do that with kind of people who are willing to like pull you up and not let you, flounder. I hope that answered the question.
Charles, hello. I'm trying to think. I'm still trying to think of how to form the question properly. But like you were saying that you were on a grind. You were wild and no. And I was curious. Do you think that, in terms of like going up in like just any career, do you think it's good to be on like a super intense grind, or should you? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut the question off.
No, you're fine. I just because sometimes I go through where I'm like, should I sleep too much? Maybe I should go on a grind, or let's go like do more work or stuff like that. Do you recommend it, or do you think it's good to prioritize sleep or have like a ebb and flow?
I'm going to answer your question in a roundabout way. The direct answer is no.
Okay.
I don't encourage it. When I'm putting this presentation together, I'm thinking about who my audience is, and so I'm going to be very transparent. My audience is you. My audience are the viewers, your family, watching at home or here, but it's also donors and people with access and means to that it's necessary for them to understand that you're going through something difficult, and it sometimes is doubly or triple the difficult level, and it's unnecessary. This is something that I had to do because I didn't have resources to go to school full time and pursue my MBA because I had the means to do so. So I had to work a full-time job while I was taking care of my family because that's what I signed up for. And that's the necessary need for their survival, for me to have gainful income. And going to school also costs money, but it takes time and resources. So I don't have a opportunity to choose one or the other. Some families do. And some families they benefit from privilege and have the ability to say, yeah, I'm a full-time parent, but I'm going to go back to college and I'm going to stop working. That wasn't my option. And so when the question was asked earlier of how do you fund your trips to Belize and how do you fund your research, well, we have to do a lot of grant writing, and we have to ask and advocate for these necessary resources. Sometimes in some individuals' experience, those are gifted to them because the person on the other end believes in their work. And so, long answer, no, I don't encourage it. And the reason I'm highlighting it is to show the disparity. And for anyone watching, I don't know where the camera's at, if you believe in what's happening here and you believe in the work that these young people are doing, I do. I know it's going to be impactful to change and save our planet. And so find out their information, find out the needs that they have for accessing and continuing their work, accessing the places they need to do their work and continuing their work, and find out how to fund them. And so that's why I put it in. I do not encourage it, but I know it's a necessary part of the journey.
Thank you. I'm going to add to that if I can. No, don't work that hard. But I will say what I found interesting hearing all of your stories is that your stories are so similar, right, to ours, having to work while you're in college, having to like go the extra mile just to get where other people are. And so I think part of the reason that I'm here definitely is to show you that, one, you can do it, but also it doesn't have to be that way. And, like he said, we are talking to an audience that is not just you, but also donors. And so I think understanding that all of us have such a similar experience and then examining why that is and then working to undo that, I think is really the work that I'm here to do and the work that I'm passionate about, because it shouldn't have to be that way, right? Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much for both of your talks. They were absolutely amazing. As I said earlier, I'm an undergraduate in university right now, and I've been struggling a lot with the balance between work and home and normal life. And in your guys' positions, I was just wondering, do you guys feel like you have a good work-life balance, or do you often bring work home? If you could just talk a little bit about that.
So early in the career is when you saw me doing the full day schedule. I still do a full day schedule, but I signed up for it, and I enjoy it. I actually enjoy the work that I do. I believe in it. I'm completely committed to it and passionate about it, and I've integrated it into what we do as a family. And we're at a further along stage. I have 2 kids in college and one almost graduating high school. Not quite as fast as you did, by the way, which is impressive. And I think that I'm signing up for a different version of my life, and I'm designing it the way I want it to be. And I've worked hard and afforded myself that privilege, and that's just who I am as a person. And so that work-life balance, I don't expect that from our team. I don't expect that. We try to create conditions in our work environment where they do have the ability to have that balance and choose their adventure. I'd say at the end of the day, we're trying to inspire people. It's not open heart surgery, what we're doing, and so no one needs to be on around the clock. But for me, if I send out an email at 10 o'clock at night, that's because that's where my mind's working on it. I'm thinking about it, and that's the space or the time that I'm working. So I design it the way that works for you, and find the comfort. You will find that spectrum is different for everybody on how they like to work and what they choose for a work-life balance. So don't have it predefined. You define it for yourself.
I couldn't have said it better, so I'm just going to leave it there.
Who has our next question?
I kind of want some of the high school kids back here to ask
looking
some
at
questions.
them.
I'm the kind of person I will get up and put the microphone, so don't make me do that, please.
Oh, now they're looking up. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Charles. So you mentioned that you were doing audiovisual work, like over at the aquarium. So what kind of things would you do?
I mean, that's a great question because it's happening right here in this space. So I believe his name was Spencer. Is that right? Yep, Spencer helped me set up this PowerPoint today. And Spencer, if you could do me one more favor and pull up that last slide. I actually got nervous and got out of there too quick before I said. The last slide is a Spotify playlist that I wanted to invite you all to collaborate on so that we could kind of commemorate this day together. So it's got the 8 slides for the songs that I told you your mom and dad listened to. And but it's open, and I want you all to add to it, like what's meaningful to you, what is your journey, and so now you get to use your phones without feeling like you're doing something wrong. But yeah, a typical day would be setting up PowerPoint presentations for an event or a talk, sometimes during an evening event. And so the aquarium has a bunch of technology, whether that's projectors or sound systems or lights, and all of that technology on the back end meant to communicate the ocean conservation narratives that we're talking about, our interpretation graphics. I was involved in helping to pull those out so the technology would work for the public's interest. At night, I might set up a PowerPoint and listen to a talk about killer whales by rest in peace Kim Balcom. And I had an opportunity to not only make sure the mics were working, perfectly leveled, but I got to listen to these talks by scientists and learn from some of the best all around the world. And so I got to be a voyeur into this world of marine science and conservation at the same time that I was doing what I love to do, which is audio engineering.
If I could just, so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You could pull that slide down.
If I could just piggyback on that, because I'm so glad that you asked that question, and I was so grateful, Charles, that you mentioned that starting position in an organization like the Aquarium of the Pacific, but our friends up in Seattle. For the high school students here, you might be really excited by this and go, all right, this is cool, but I don't know if I want to be in the ocean. I really love drawing. I really love graphic design. One message that I hope you leave here with today is there's a place for everyone in the work that we do. And that might show up as being an accountant. That might show up as running the sound and doing all the behind the scenes. That might show up as the person who is coordinating the event and the conduit with the caterer. That might show up like a lot of different things. And so when we talk about the work of the aquarium, and we talk about the work of marine science, and we talk about the work of environmentalism and ocean conservation, there's a lot of ways of participating. And so your paths represent that, and I'm so grateful for you sharing that. But I hope that really resonates with our high school students as well. So thank you for asking that question, because I appreciate that.
I meant to make a connection earlier because you all talked about having to write grants, for example. I was an English major, and I write all the time. I love it. It's my jam. And now I actually write grants for people just like you to get funding. And so, like Ali was just saying, no matter what you're into, right, there's a space kind of in this, larger environmental studies field for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Who else has a question? Yes, thank you.
As a junior, I have to start thinking more and more about what I want to do and what colleges I want to go to. So I was just wondering, what did you guys think about the colleges that you guys went to, and would you what group of people you would recommend them to?
So when I first was in school, I went for, like I said, computer engineering, and I went to North Carolina State. And so I was living in Georgia at the time. I went up to North Carolina. It was a big culture shock for me that I was not ready for, and so I came back home to Georgia. When I went back to college, I was at San Diego State. It was a great, great, great experience. Whatever major I think you're interested in, it's a great school. I have a special place in my heart for state schools because I think that they're a great resource for people who don't want to get into research, for example. And then I got my master's degree at Sacramento State. And so, again, I think both of those universities offer opportunities no matter what space you want to be in. So I would absolutely recommend them to anybody, no matter what you're interested in.
Convenience was the reason I went to Seattle Pacific University. It was a 15-minute drive from work. But it was a great school that had a good business program. I vetted the schools for me, and I still am doing that in thinking about continued education for myself. Is it accredited? Can I afford it? Does it offer the program? And do the graduates speak well of it? It's a simple formula. It doesn't need to be more complex than that. I know a lot of people think about, well, if I go to this college, people will think that, or this is where the best of the best went to from this. I don't think it's that complex. I would do my organization a disservice if I didn't say UC San Diego, of course, is the best college to go to. But if you there's opportunities in program and funding to figure out no matter what you choose. And so I say just vet it for what's going to be best for you, what's going to fit your immediate needs and your resources and what you have available to pursue it. And most importantly, just do it. I think ultimately that's the deal. Getting involved, staying your course, and making sure you finish. That's the most important part of it. What you choose, make sure it's right for you.
And you can always change your mind, right? Like if you go to one school and it's not it for you, you can go somewhere else, and it's not a big deal. Nobody cares when you get out of college. Literally nobody cares what grades you got, what school you went to. It doesn't matter. And so I very much think, try something out, and if it doesn't work, try something different. Because those experiences make you a richer, deeper person. And I think that it kind of helps contribute to whatever you end up giving back to the world. We'll get up in a second if we don't get one more question. I promise.
What's the greatest piece of advice you've ever gotten, and who gave it to you?
Yeah. Mine is from Andy Slatt, the cross-country coach at O'Day High School. I was on my way to college, and it was a 2-year degree, and I got a basketball scholarship. I'm giving you guys a lot of information here, but this is why it's important advice. And I turned down the scholarship because they gave away my basketball number. And the best, well, that was my reaction, so thank you for validating it. But the best advice I got was from Andy Slatt, who was a Green Beret in the Army, and he was also my cross-country coach. And he said, I think you need to look into the military because you're not quite mature enough if that is your reaction to them giving you your basketball number away. And he was absolutely right. That led to, and I'm not advising you all go to the military. It was peacetime during the time that I went in. But it was just someone who was willing to tell me the truth. And I think any time that people who care about you and love you are giving you advice, this is not the quote that he said, but this is the advice that I would give you. It's coming from the right place. And there's not going to be one thing that somebody says that's everything to you at all times. It'll be multiple things that people who care about you say over the course of your life. So if you know that they love you, just listen and try to hear what they're saying and why they're saying it for you. And you ain't always got to take that advice either, but they do love you and it's coming from a good place.
I would say for me, it actually came from my therapist not too long ago. I'll be a little bit kind of vulnerable here. I was complaining of, having issues with communication and just felt like I wasn't being understood. Others didn't understand me. And she was like, Nicole, how you show up in the world are your superpowers. Your experiences, the way that your brain works, the way that you engage with other people, that is your superpower, and nobody else is like you. And I think just having that validation that you are unique and your experiences matter in all the spaces that you're in, I think that kind of helped me change my perspective on issues that I was having at the time. But each of you are unique, and you bring something special that nobody else can bring to the table, and stand in that.
Did we have anybody else? Get those questions in. Oh, perfect.
Hey, thanks for your presentation's really good. Question, so I'm curious, have you seen in recent years that representation has been better than it has in the past? And what do you think needs to happen in order to get to a better place with that, in that regard?
So I guess I would say yes, representation has gotten better. I mean, that's evidence, based on the folks that we had speak with us today. I would also say, though, that change is hard and it's slow. And so, I'm at a department where it's not super diverse, and so it hasn't quite gotten to that place. I've been there for almost 2 years now, and even in just the 2 years that I've been there, it's gotten more diverse. So people that are coming in as entry-level scientists are a whole different class of people than the folks that are kind of in the management positions now. And so, yes, it's getting better. I think programs like what is, like the Scholar Symposium, for example, I think programs like that are really helping build interest in the sciences. I think that kind of exposure is really what's going to diversify the field more. And you all front row, telling your stories to different people, right? Because you all were inspiring. You're inspiring to me, and I've been in this space for a while, right? And so just keep telling your stories to anybody who would listen.
All right, we have time for one more question. I know it's out there. All right.
Y'all like it's lunchtime.
Hello. I know you guys kind of talk about the world that you live in is very different from everyone else's. But how do you get that confidence and motivation to show yourself and continue to work in your environment, even though it's not the greatest environment to work in?
Confidence. I would probably start by saying that I was not always this confident. I think certainly when I first started my career, there was an attitude that you had to look a certain way and act a certain way. And so I followed that rule and, got to a point where I realized that I wasn't happy, just in general. And I think once I hit that 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 bottom and didn't want to feel like that anymore, I just decided that I'm going to do what I like to do, right? Like, I'm going to get my piercings. I'm going to have the life that I want to have because my happiness was more important than trying to fit in with anybody. So I think that's where my confidence came from. I would also say the people that are around me, you know, my supporters, the people that mentored me, kind of always letting me know that I was enough, that I was okay, regardless of what other people may have said. I think that they were able to instill in me that, I don't know, that I am enough. So I think, you know, if you don't have it within yourself, definitely, you know, rely on your friends, rely on your families, and always remember that, like, you have people that have your back and do love you and believe that you are enough, no matter what other people say, because they don't matter.
Yeah, what did we say? You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. My family is the reason that I continue to do the work that I'm doing. I have a granddaughter who will eventually grow up to have kids. And those kids hopefully grow up to have kids. And the world that we're building today or trying to repair today is necessary. This is necessary work for them. And so you have to think about the spaces that you're in, and do you want to be in those spaces? I mean, you know, you shouldn't be anywhere where you don't feel like you belong or you can have a say or you feel comfortable there. I think that's the deciding factor. Am I in the right space? And I've been in many spaces where I've removed myself because it wasn't the right space. And changing that also changes your ability to feel confident, like you belong and comfortable in that space. And sometimes you're in those spaces and they're not comfortable, but you know they're the right space, and you have to change it. And so there's another challenge. And so no one should necessarily have that burden, but there are certain individuals that feel compelled. I think that kind of speaks to the fabric of who's here in this room, that there's something that is worth caring about, worth making an impact on, and ultimately a long-lasting change, whether that's understanding what's going on or creating an environment where things can thrive. And I know confidence is what the question is based on. You know, you get that with experience and also being in the right space, though. And so if something feels off, you got to question what's going on here. And I think just unpack it a little bit more. Lean on your support system, lean on others, and we'll try to help you through whatever challenges you have.
All right, let's have a round of
Lunchtime.
applause again. Yeah! I'm going to invite our President and CEO, Dr. Peter Kariva, up to just say some closing words before lunch.
Yeah. Allie gave me notes about concluding remarks. It doesn't really feel right, given sort of the what we've just heard. I just want to say, first, I think you all should have heard from what I was reminded of that I forget too often. Science is fun. There's actually, it's an adventure. I mean, you heard that from every single person here. You know, somehow we don't really, it's really one of the most fun things you could do. It's incredible. The second thing you hear is, you notice all the travel, and there's something, so I've been a scientist for my whole life, which has been a long life, but I've been to 40 countries as a scientist. I can go to a country as a scientist and be accepted almost instantly. Culturally, I bet you've had this experience when you go to Indonesia or go to different places. It gives you something. It's one form of commonness. And it's kind of neat that way. It's one of the few, I don't think lawyers or other professions have quite as much, because it's curiosity. And you're talking to other curious people. But that's enough for the closing remarks. What I really want to say is what hangs with me from today, it's all about community. None of us does it as an individual. There's not a single person that does it alone. It really is all about community. And I want to ask Allie to come up here and talk about a new program.
All right. Thank you so much. we're going to let you all in on a little secret. We're really excited to let you know that the Aquarium will soon be publicly announcing our new KELP Scholar Program. KELP stands for Community, Equity, Learning, and Persistence. This is launching in December 15th. As I said, our public announcement will be December 5th. Applications will be available December 15th. This is an opportunity for me to say thank you to our Scholar alumni, not just our current cohort that we featured today, but the 21 and 22 cohort who contributed so much of their thoughts into what the Aquarium wants to do in the future. And I'm excited that the Aquarium's KELP Scholar program will seek to broaden participation in marine science, help more students find their own community in STEM, and support students' persistence in the field. With this program, the Aquarium looks to bring a greater variety of lived experiences to the challenge of ensuring a healthy and sustainable ocean for everyone. So sneak peek, KELP Scholars is coming, and thank you. You know who you are if you're sitting in this room and you've contributed to these conversations, so thank you. Thank you for believing in what the Aquarium can do. Here are some logistical details. You ready? How do I get lunch? That's what you want to know? Really quickly, scholars, students, teachers, Long Beach Unified admin, everybody sitting in this room, you have a QR code on the back of your name tag. That leads you to a survey. You don't need to do it this minute, but please take a look at that. Your feedback is important to us. We want to know the value of this program for you. High school students, we even have a little incentive for you. Candace right back there is going to wave. During lunch or after lunch, if you can find Candace, you will have a screen once you complete the survey. Show your screen to Candace. Look, I did it. She will let you get a little freebie, a little souvenir to take home with you. Online audience, thank you so much for joining us. We're so appreciative of you watching. Thank you to the teachers, to the donors, to the administrators, to PK, to everyone who believes in this program. There are people in this room who I call our program partners, our program supporters, people who believe in what we do, and it would not be possible to do this without you. Now, we hope these conversations continue over lunch. Here's what we're going to ask you to do. You are going to exit the theater and go back out to the Harbor Terrace, up to the veranda. We'll lead you there, and actually, Stacy, Sarah, if you guys could help us direct folks out, we're going to head up and have lunch. Students, once lunch is over, please refer to your teachers and chaperones for more direction, but you will have an opportunity to explore the aquarium. Thank you so much, and appreciate all of your time. We're out.